On this episode of my Invisalign journey, I'm going to talk about refinements because I have just come up to my first refinement. Okay, now I'm going to talk about my refinement in a second here, but first I'm going to begin by talking about what is a refinement. So when you have aligners, I'm using Invisalign, but there's several aligner companies out there now. But when you have a refinement, you have your teeth set up, you have your clean check, and that's usually something that we go over, right? Let me open mine here. We'll open the clean check, and I showed you this on one of the first episodes, okay? And it has a series of trays. Like for instance, the very first one I had 32. We had 32 trays on here, okay? And each tray or each segment represents a tray. And so on average, we have everybody switch about 7 days, so a week per tray. So a lot of times I'll come in and people will talk about, let's go to this one here. People will talk about, oh, I'm almost at the end of my treatment. The end of your trays isn't the same as the end of your treatment. I'll usually come in and in a consultation, we'll say this is going to be 12 months, this is going to be 18 months, this is going to be 24 months. When I say that, that's what you should be listening to, not the number of trays you have here. Because as you can see here, there's 32 trays. So I oftentimes, and we try to explain it to people, but the only thing they see is this end, what they think is the end in sight. So what I always say is a set is just getting us a little bit closer. And your final teeth, just because it shows us on the screen, doesn't mean this is what we're going to get, right? The reality, this is a computer program, right? The reality of your body is much different. And so we try to get a little bit closer with each set. So a good analogy here is if you are to complete your treatment in one set, that's like getting a hole-in-one in golf. Very rarely does that happen. I always say to expect 2, 3, and a lot of times 4 refinements, okay? They're usually smaller. A lot of times the first and second one might have a similar amount of trays to them, okay? But they usually get a little bit smaller. So, we're gonna do your original, get you pretty close, then we're gonna do some detailing trays and then some more detailing trays, and we might have to do a few of them until we get it just perfect. That's kind of the equivalent of doing like a wire adjustment. So instead of coming in, we have to do a refinement. So what does a refinement entail? So for a refinement, we take our intraoral scan. So you've seen this in our previous video, so we're not going to show it again. But we took this scan of my teeth here, okay? And then we take some photos to check your progress, okay? So we took some new photos on me just the other day. Let me pull it up. So we took all the photos, buccals, intraoral, all the facial shots. And then a lot of times I'll take a pan. And a panoramic radiograph is what that stands for, and I'll pull this up here. And I use this to kind of evaluate the root position, because just because the teeth look fairly straight doesn't mean that the roots are. And having the roots parallel is really what creates stability, meaning the teeth aren't going to want to shift as readily, okay? So I didn't take a new one on myself because I felt pretty confident in it and where everything's at. But I routinely do this at about the halfway point with either braces or Invisalign. So that's normal to take a progress pan to check the root length, to check how we're doing, to just make sure we're not missing anything, okay? So again, for a refinement, we take a scan, we take new photos, and we take a new pan. Sometimes we might take a ceph if I need to see your incisor position, right, from front to back. We might, say I want to take a look at this. Then we might take a ceph as well, okay? And this is my ceph here. All right. So that's what it is. We do all these records, we send it in just like the initial. Now, what do you do on your end? On your end, I usually plan it, if you look here, and we usually coordinate it so that we have you back so you still have 4 trays left, okay? I usually ask them to have 4 trays at the end. And what you do is you just keep wearing your trays. So I got to tray 24 here. I didn't go all the way to the end because I started getting movements that I didn't want, and that's okay because I planned that. I planned for movements that were overcorrections, and a lot of times I might do that for you. So we might get to say tray 15 on some people, and maybe there's not tracking, or maybe I just want to change the way things are going. And like a wire adjustment, we take a scan, it's equivalent, right? And then we might do a refinement. So although this box, I have this entire box that I didn't even open here. This one I did, but there's one more box that I didn't even open. We just have a bunch of aligners here. So it's sad, but I would love to somehow do a survey and count all the unused aligners out there in the world. So I don't know that there's a recycling program for them, but this is cardboard, this is plastic. I urge you to go green. If you're already super green, maybe aligners aren't for you. And I think that's a big something that we as an orthodontist should consider. Going off on a little tangent here is, what's the carbon footprint that we're creating with these aligners? So if that's a concern or something that resonates with you, you might want to consider doing the braces alternative. Because I don't know, I'm not sure what's happening there, but I can't imagine. I know what we do in our office, and there's hundreds more offices out there. So anyway, something to consider. I'm not discouraging you from it. It's a very good treatment option, but a lot of them do go to waste and then so forth. So. And you can't recycle the ones that are already in your mouth, obviously, because they're contaminated. Okay, I digress. Let's get back on track here. So anyways, we're talking about our refinement. I try to keep on as many attachments as possible. So we have these attachments. When I plan it from the beginning, I plan it for the tooth movements so that ideally we do not have to move attachments. Now you'll usually come back and we might have to remove and replace maybe 1, 2, 3. Rare cases we might take them all off and just kind of do something different. But what we do is we'll reschedule you back 4 to 5 weeks later, same as the initial, okay? And that gives us time to send the records to Invisalign. I can come up with that detailed treatment plan where I'm doing all this communication with the wonderful lab techs, and we're figuring out how to get you a little bit closer, okay? So again, in the meantime, you're just wearing your aligners, switching week by week. You should have enough to get you through. If not, then it's okay to wear them more than a week. They will last 2, 3 weeks or so, okay? They do start breaking down, but that's why you gotta be careful about cleaning them. All right, so that's the process. Then you come back, we schedule you about a 40 to 50 minute appointment to switch out those attachments or put new ones on. Again, it's very minimal compared to the first one. And then you just continue on with your new set, okay? So what happened here in my refinement? I wanna show you my scan. We took this scan of me, and my goal was to get my posterior teeth out of occlusion. Because remember, if you recall back to my first, when I was going over my original ClinCheck, I had only contacts on my back teeth, my second premolar, or my second molars. And for the first time, I can actually contact on my left premolars. Actually, my bite feels so much more stable. My temporalis muscles are a lot less strained because I'm not hitting and hinging so much. These are your temporalis up here, okay, and some muscle, and it gets really strained sometimes. And so Invisalign's been great for that. But you can see here, I'm still very much class 2, okay? And so there's a lot of work I'm going to do, and I'm going to talk about what my ideas are for this treatment plan. This is the fun part about being an orthodontist. There's a few ideas that I have here, and I'm going to kind of hash it out and sit down and think about this a little bit more, and that's for next episode. But you can kind of just see the progress here, okay? And we're just going to keep at it, all right? What else? I wanted to talk to you about a few more things. I wrote some notes here. My progress, let's see, that's it. So I have another set of aligners, and I did order them, okay? I did order this, but again, I'm going to share with you this ClinCheck at the next visit. But what you can see here is it's a set of 26. My original was 32, this is 26. What does that mean? It means nothing. You have to go by the original time that I gave you. This is just a set to get you a little closer. It's an adjustment. I guess that's my take-home message of all of this, and just a little preview so you have a better understanding of what a refinement is and what to expect when you come into our office to have them done. So everybody enjoy your weekend. I think we got about 3 more weeks left of summer here. And if you have a very keen eye, you will notice I'm not wearing my aligners right now. But I calculated this into my 2 hours a day because I wanted to have my coffee. So don't judge me. All right. Cheers. See you at the next episode.